is relevant, and our technological expertise and competence is relevant as well. Oh, so yeah, this is another comment that, if with online, a person might be seated or laying in their bed, have their laptop on their knees type of thing while doing a session. And are we aware of that? And is that relevant? That's not typically how we might do treatment. And, you have the right to set certain parameters and say, these are my quote unquote rules for how I provide treatment. You need to be, and explain, how physically it has to be done if that's something that you consider relevant and important. With video conferencing, we see the person. Obviously, you can tell who you're interacting with, but if it's all through email or texting, how do we verify? And so the technology has been amazing. And again, on Navy ships, this has been done for decades. I've even seen not just for consultation, supervision, assessment, and treatment, but even surgeries being done on a Navy vessel out in the middle of the ocean. And you have the cameras in the technology, and people are observing and even assisting remotely from someplace back in the States, wherever they're located. And so these have been done for decades. But overall, we're sort of catching up with this in many ways, and the pandemic has forced this on many people that hadn't participated in this previously. But again, ease of delivery, cost effectiveness, increased access to treatment. And again, video conferencing is viewed as superior to telephone, email, and texting for all the reasons I've been mentioning. And again, I'm not saying it's perfect for everyone. Complaint, basically, typically. The other issue is, and I've served on my state's licensing board, and I work with other licensing boards, so I know this intimately well. If a complaint's filed, the first thing we do is get everyone to sign releases, and then we get the entire record and we go through it in great detail. And sometimes in reviewing the record, it is done so well that it basically exonerates the professional. The documentation demonstrates that nothing unethical happened and that they're following laws and they're doing a great job. But sometimes there's a complaint about one specific thing, and then in reading through the record, all these other things come up. And so if the licensing board sees what's going on, and if there's additional violations, they're going to address that. They're going to take action against the individuals. So legally, HIPAA is a federal law. I'll talk more about it as we move forward, but we're working in mental health, and it's an area for us to look into. So this author Prensky coined these terms digital native and digital immigrant. And a digital native is someone born into the digital world. So, if you see a 18-month-old with an iPad moving the finger around and tapping things and all that, that's a digital native. A digital immigrant is someone who's new to this and has to learn this culture, this language and culture that we're, not native speakers. So I remember years ago, when all of this was pretty new, saying, oh, you want to go to the movies this evening? Great, let me look. And I take the newspaper out and turn to the movie section and looking for which theater and what time. And then I remember my daughter being like, an early middle schooler, and it took her like 3 seconds and said, oh, it's playing at this theater at this time. Like, how did you know that? It's like, you just go on the app and just, it's there. And like, oh, I'll never do that.